So we'll talk about the Chaosmancer. I decided for testing purposes that I am going to let it get as bad as it can get. I took off the gloves. I got rid of Chaos Control 1 and 2. So now we can get the very bad. I also boosted this unstable sorcery. I added unpredictable consequences. Like, I did everything that we can do to get chances to see the worst stuff happening. So this is basically my build now at level 19. You can see it. I have 41 points. When I tick over to 20, I'll put my capstone here. And I also decided to play around with this Spring Storm going up the spring attunement. I reattuned myself to spring because that's charisma, so now I get +2 charisma. It's giving me electric and sonic spell power, but I just wanted to test out this SLA. So even though I am benefiting from the charisma, technically the spell powers are not what I'm using. I really want to be in summer for the light, even though I'm not doing fire, but this would give me strength, an extra +2 strength. I'd have to be in summer, and then I could try out Scorch. I plan to respec myself to try out all of these. This autumn decay, also we'll test that, and then this winter hail. Yeah, it's one of those interesting things. DDO has controllers built right into the UI. A lot of other games don't. Like Star Wars The Old Republic does not. So it makes me feel like when Turbine was initially developing the games that they really were considering putting them onto consoles. Alright, here's the gold roll. Oh, is it double points? It looks like it's double points. That's cool. Here's the silver roll. Yeah. I collect those supreme ability. Yeah, it looks like it's double because I just got an 8,000 and an 800, which I think normally would have been 4,000 and 400. So for the next few days, I think they do it for double weekend, right? Or something like that. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to kind of try to show you that spell. You can see what it is. I think I'll go to Meridia. That way I can just cast it on like random things. It's pretty easy to see. You may have already looked at this, but if you haven't, we'll take a look. And I don't mind respecing and looking at all of them. Since we're here doing this, we might as well kind of... So what I'm talking about very specifically is this Spring Storm SLA that comes from the Racial Eladrin Chaosmancer. So I put in enough points to go up this tree and grab this SLA. It is a 10-second cooldown, 5 spell points, and it does electric damage. Now, even though I'm doing chaos damage, this is the charisma buff, and I'll do it on this little rat here. So this is the SLA. It makes like a little like rainstorm. So here it is on this other rat. So we'll try to group up these dogs, and then I'll cast it on them again, because if it's just an AoE SLA for 5 points, I mean, so you can see it just basically makes like a storm cloud, and the storm cloud seems to be like specific to the mob itself. So it'll actually, like, if the mob is moving, then the storm cloud itself moves. And it looks like the hitbox under it is just like a circular area, but that's good enough to get densely packed up mobs. The damage is okay. It's like any other SLA. So, I mean, if we look at, that's this level 1 spell. It did 400. And that cost 2 spell points. If we look at this here, Wild Strike, this is 25 spell points. And the range on it's not that far. There's a range to the 1,000, 1,100. And so we'll see if we can get the hitbox on this SLA. So I cannot hit him with the SLA, that troll right there. I cannot. So there is the range, sort of right there. The damage is sort of somewhere in between. But considering 5 spell points, if I let these guys get close enough together, can I AoE them? Yeah. So, I mean, it's not bad. With the racial points, if you were like racial completionist, why not? Right? 5 spell points, you get an SLA that has a hitbox that's okay. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but for 5 spell points, the fact that I can do between 500 and 1,000 damage to grouped up mobs in front of me. See, it didn't kill this dude, but it got the other two. It's not bad. In Reaper, the damage, I don't know how well it'll scale. I'm assuming that it probably wouldn't scale that well, but we're not boosted to do electric damage. But, I mean, we just got all those mobs. It's actually not bad. So one of the great things about the Chaosmancer is the fact that you have so many SLAs. You really don't need to go through a lot of mana. It's very mana friendly. As for a Sorc, that is like, it's basically, I've rated it as S tier. It's probably the best Sorc as far as like managing your spell points. It's super... It's just very, very good. So you don't need to worry about spell point potions. You don't need to worry about optimizing your gear to make sure that you have as much mana as possible, like you would have done on an old Fire Sorc, for example, or a Lightning Sorc, or even if you were doing like Frost or even Acid. Like I think Acid might have been the least popular, but I know people did it. I still don't like how that Touch of Spring only has 2 charges. I really think that they should give it to us. So let's see what the hitbox is on this thing, right? So there's the mob. Can I look away and still hit it? Yes. All right, so that elevates the tier of this ability at least 1 level higher. So if I were rating this as a B, now it's an A, because what that means it's direction irrelevant targeting, which is super great for DDO. And what I'm talking about very specifically is we'll do it on these Blood Fiend Scorpions right here. So you can see the hitbox on my level 1 spell is like an arrow. I shoot it, it hits it. If for some reason I am not looking directly at the Scorpion and I throw the arrow, it just shoots off into space because it's an arrow. With this Wild Strike here, if I'm facing it and I shoot it, there, it hits it. Let's say if I'm running at the Scorpion and now I'm 90 degrees, can I still hit it? Yes. So this has a really good hitbox because it's not necessarily dependent on me looking at it like this Chaos Bolt is. This Chaos Sphere is another one that has a terrible hitbox, because if I just throw this, first of all, it doesn't let me cast that because I'm not facing the mob. But if I turn to face the mob where I can actually throw it, that hit them all. But I have seen if I was too far away, that the ball just like hits the ground before them. See if I can replicate what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's difficult to replicate all of the ways that the spells fail, but if you play around with them enough, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I don't like the hitbox on this one. I like it on this one. I don't really like it on the bolt, but I understand it because it's a bolt. So if you shoot like an arrow at something and it moves, it's not going to hit it. So I expect that. But the storm one doesn't seem to be dependent at all on what you're facing. It just basically, if you have the target highlighted, it will put the storm cloud over that character, over that NPC. And so that's really good. So we'll try it again on that Bezakura right there. I'm going to target it, turn around, cast my storm, and you can see it killed 2 of the mobs behind me without me even looking at it, right? Like, that's really good. We'll do it again on that dude. So we got him, and it did, you know, like 700 damage on him without even looking at him. So that is definitely like A tier. It's not crazy damage, but the fact that it's AoE and you can not look at the thing to cast it, that makes me like it a lot more than I originally did when I first started messing around with it. So I might have to say that storm cloud, if we were to rate these, it's at least an A tier. It may actually be S tier as far as an SLA goes, because I can't think of a better SLA. Maybe somebody in chat knows like a better SLA, but that's really good. A non-directional AoE hitbox. How far away can I cast it from here? No, it looks like it doesn't have like the ray range, so I think it would be A tier. If it had ray range, then it would be S tier. But it's not, you have to still be in normal spell range to do it. But so we'll target that scorpion, turn around, let everything gather up behind us, and there's storm cloud, and we just blew it all away. And that curse that's on my head, that was not from one of the mobs. That is a wild magic surge. This is what I was saying to you. They are just constantly cycling through things on you with this wild magic. So if see, that was that SLA just took out all of those bats. It's really good. It's got a very solid hitbox. And the fact that you can just cast it if you're running away from something. I mean, think about how often, like on hardcore, you're running away from something. You can just target something behind you and hit it. That is super, super useful. So what we're going to do, just because we want to get to the bottom of how all of these function, I'm going to respec into the next SLA, and then we're going to try that. Because I have a feeling it's just Scorch. Basically, I have a feeling that they just gave us another Scorch, but we're gonna see. We might as well, right? Okay, so we'll take all this. Okay, and what we want to do is go into summer. It actually lets you know if you have like the enhanced version that you get from here, major attunement. It'll tell you when you click it. So I'll show it to you again. There's major summer. So that gives me +2 more strength. Not that I care, but I mean, I think that'd be really good for hardcore or for like your hardcore event. Strength is super important to have when you're playing like in heroics especially. If you don't have access to Death Ward. So what I need to do is take the SLA, which is right here, and we'll boost it. It's still 5 spell points to cast this, and now we're going to test it out, and we will see how it plays. My feeling it's probably just a regular Scorch. Oh, I'll show you guys something else that I figured out. Right? When you use a flying carpet on water, it lets you walk on the water. I don't know if anybody else noticed this. But you can so without the carpet, I'll show you. Right? You're in the water, right? You're swimming around in the water. You can go under the water. If you do a regular horse, You're in the water and you're swimming. And you can swim down on the horse, but you're still in the water, right? Swimming. But on the magic carpet, you're walking on the water, baby. You're surfing. Now, I assume that the developers did this on purpose, because why wouldn't you surf on water on a carpet that is kind of like a surfboard anyway, right? When I first saw this, I thought, wow, that is like the coolest thing. Like, these devs are definitely having some fun, and I was super happy to see it. It doesn't allow you to go any faster. Like, I'm still going at the same rate that I would go if I were on a swimming horse, or if I were, you know, on some other mount, probably the dragon mount. But it does have a really cool visual effect of me appearing to just walk on the water. I have not tried to go underwater, but apparently no problem, I can, which is great. Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's how I first discovered it. So that was exactly what I was getting to. So it's not just water, but you can surf lava. You can surf any other weird environment. I'm not sure if the lava did damage to you. Anyway, if you would take damage. Okay, so here's the SLA for the summer. All right, that was not the SLA. That was the wild magic proccing an iron pot on the top of my head. So we're gonna try the SLA from here, just far away. Yeah, it's basically a Scorch. However, the hitbox for it looks quite far, because that spider was far away. So let's gauge it. I have him targeted. Can I hit him from here? No. We'll move a little closer, see if we can hit him. Like right there. All right, no, that's not close enough. I want to see how far it is. And unfortunately, I've got 10 seconds. Right there. Yeah, all right. So that is, if I go like count my golden feet to the corpse, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like about 6 golden feet. Which, I think it's the same hitbox as Scorch. I just cast it. It did absolutely nothing on those guys. I don't know if that was a misfire or something. I'm going to try it again. There. Okay, so yeah. So it's basically the same exact hitbox as like a Sorcerer's Scorch. It's doing really good damage. Really good damage for 5 spell points. It's an evocation spell, and the thing about these, I'm pretty sure they strip the vulnerability off, so you could use this if you wanted to like drop this wild magic and just be like a fire sork. You wouldn't need it, obviously, but if you did this, if you made your Chaosmancer a druid, or if you made your Chaosmancer a wizard, or if you made your Chaosmancer a favored soul, you could utilize this. Or, even better, if you made your Chaosmancer a warlock, so now you're a fiend warlock with fire and light spell power boosted, and you can use this Scorch to force things to take your fire and your light damage. That probably would be super strong. It might be something that I'll consider to do for my... I do have a fiend sorcerer. A fiend warlock. So it maybe being an Eladrin, you'd have to basically use a Lesser Heart of Wood to drop the Sork level and pick up a warlock level, but I think that this is really cool. So you could do the storm one. You could do the storm one for, you know, like a Fey sorcerer. The only downside of this is it's got a slow cast time. Here's a I got curse from the wild magic, so there's my remove curse potion. The damage on this looks better than the electric, but it just could be that I have, like, my gear just boosts that, or it just could be my fire and light spell power is just higher. That's also a negative effect. It threw me into, like, the Feywild or whatever that was. Yeah, like, I took off the safeguards, so now I can get all the worst magical effects. I've been polymorphed into a rat. I've been danced by an irresistible dance. Like, it's just a whole bunch of really nasty stuff can happen to you. And it just is. So I said, objectively, it's immersion breaking. And narratively, it's also extremely sort of like dangerous. I've said this before. I don't see anybody on a Chaosmancer getting invited to go to a raid. I'm sure people will, just for the memes, just because it's funny, or just because people have friends and their friends made a Chaosmancer. But like, if you were in a pug and you needed somebody to do a specific role in a specific raid, having all of the weird stuff that can happen to a Chaosmancer, I'm just not seeing it as being like a raid friendly class. There's just so much weird stuff that can happen with this wild magic. You know, especially when you consider it against an elemental sorcerer, who not only can they strip the damage off of anything and nuke it, but that they don't have to worry about getting autos irresistibly dance with an iron pot on their head. You know, like, you cannot mitigate that blindness, you cannot mitigate the dance if you have, you know, a really high will save, or it doesn't matter. So this is the SLA. It looks like the damage is really good. And it's up every 10 seconds. Another AoE. And that was color spray. And so we'll go out and we'll spec into the acid one, just for giggles. Just objectively, I want to take a look and see, not that one, this, what my... So my electric is 270, my fire is 290, I have 18% crit and a 5% multiplier. My light is 324, but I was just doing fire, so I only have 20 more fire, and it was doing a much more damage than the electric one. So I think the Scorch is just this is like a harder hitter. We're going to take a look at the acid one next and see if that also hits hard, or if that hits more like the electric one. The electric one was doing between 500 and 1,000, and the Scorch was doing between, it was like 700 and 1,300, something. I mean, 700, 1,300, somewhere like that. So this one really isn't going to benefit us as much because we're going to lose some of our spell power here, but I really don't think it matters. I think it's, you know, a lot of this is like a flavor. So acid, poison spell power, +1 wisdom, and this is the autumn decay. And so we'll switch to autumn. So now we're in major attunement. And you don't need to switch, but I can't see a reason why you wouldn't switch. So now my wisdom is higher. I'll reset this so I can have some monsters to attack. And there's autumn decay. I'm sorry, this is not... Sometimes this UI just doesn't act well. I should probably just turn everything on instead of individually turning it on, but... Alright, what do you guys think? Is it going to be like an acid blast, like a fireball? Gonna try it on these guys right here. I'll just jump right over them and drop it down. Like a bomber. Oh god. That was not at all I thought was gonna happen. All right, so it is basically like a okay, here we go. Okay. I mean, it's okay. It's doing basically the same hitbox as color spray, except they colored it green. Basically, and they gave it a different sound effect. And so we can actually even test it. So here's that, and then there's color spray. You can see they're almost identical, like almost exactly the same hitbox. That's okay. We like color spray's got a great hitbox. It actually goes a lot farther. So it would go to here. Let's see if we can mark this down and run to it. I don't know. Can I drop a marker? I don't have any Bigby's hands, but you can see where that is. You can see like how many steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's about 10 steps. So like the color spray goes quite far. Like farther than it appears, right? So that means that this acid one should as well. Right, so if we back up here, we should still be able to hit him. Yeah, we did. Now, the damage on this, that was terrible damage, right? For something that I have maximized and powered. And my acid spell power is actually higher than my fire spell power. I have 305 acid spell power, 18% crit, and a 5% multiplier. So that was good, 750. So maybe the thing made its saving throw and took half damage. We'll try it out on some other stuff. But you could do this if you were on a warlock who is like the old one. You could do this if you were playing on a druid like a. That was good. If you were on like a blight caster. We'll see if we can hit all these. We'll just line them up and melt them down. Yeah, so for some reason, and I don't understand it, right, but the damage is better on the fire one. Maybe it's because they were making, maybe it's RNG and they weren't making their saving throws, but so far I've seen a few of these mobs resist this acid damage. These trolls should just get obliterated, but they're supposed to take double damage, and that troll only took 975. If that was doubled, then the damage on this one is so far the lowest. There's another curse. We have not seen the green screen. So I'm kind of eating my own words where I was like, yeah, this pops up all the time. But you get the gist. Like, there's always something popping up. Maybe it's not exactly that magic pox, but it's the iron pot, it's the curse, it's the, we haven't seen the autos dance or the rat meat being polymorphed into a rat, but that certainly, it happened a couple of times to me the other day in a quest. Yeah, so the damage on this one is, I'm not super happy with it. Like, I definitely think that okay, so here's a couple of my thoughts initially, and see what you guys think about this. But the fact that I can target something with that rainstorm, turn around and still hit it in an AoE, like I can do acid on all those things. But if I turn around and try to cast acid on the stuff behind me, I have a magical storm surge going on that's killing things. That's probably one of the best effects that can happen, that like red surging damage buff that just happened. But so to illustrate what I'm saying, all right, so I have this fiend bat targeted and I'm facing away from it. There's the hitbox. It just goes out in the middle of nowhere like any other normal spell. So I would say that this is definitely, the damage is lower, the hitbox is worse. This is probably B or C tier, I would say, maybe so far. Whereas this one was A, at least in A, if not S tier, like low S tier. This damage was really good, so this is probably A or B tier. this is definitely C tier. It's just not, I'm not getting, maybe if I were built a little bit different. Like, that damage was really good. We'll hit these bats with it. I mean, that was alright, but 300, the damage is too varied. 300 to 1400, like, why is it so varied? 700, you know, that's not... It's about the same as the electric damage. The thing that the electric damage has on it is the hitbox is just so much better. Because you don't have to be facing what you're casting on. And I have a feeling it's going to be the same for this winter hail. I have a feeling that that's just basically going to be a cloud of cold damage that you call. We're going to try it, but I'm hopeful that it works very similar to that spring storm. And it's either cold or lightning that you pick. That would be great. And then this one boosts your intelligence, so that if you were like an intelligence caster. But if you were trapping, you could also take that to get more int to get your, you know, your search and your disabled device up. Yeah, see, he only took 300 damage. So the damage on this one is not very good. Aside from it, like if you were doing an old one warlock and you wanted to make sure that something like a ooze took your acid damage, you could, you know, use this to cover it with your debuff, and then, you know, make it take the old one acid damage. But oozes are going to take the light damage from your aura anyway on an old one, so you really don't even need to worry about the acid. That's one of the great things about warlocks, is even if the mobs are immune to your packed damage, they're still going to take your eldritch damage. So I'll respec this. Okay, here we go. Major winter. And get all our meta magics on it. Okay. And then we're going to reset this. It is cool, though, that they added SLAs into the racial abilities. I think that's great. Drow has one that does a... it's actually not a very good SLA, but it does evil damage, which basically means that you can damage anything with it. It's just the hitbox on that ability is not very good, and it only is a single target. So here is the winter one. I mean, that's great. So that has a really good hitbox. It's the same as Snowball Swarm, at least in the visual appearance of it, which means that like maybe the hitbox was a little bit bigger than I thought on that storm cloud. And we are going to see if we can do the same thing. So I have those dogs targeted. I'm not looking at them. So it does not let me cast this Winter Hail. I cannot cast it. So it looks like the only one that's broken that you can cast it without looking at them is the first one from Spring. Let's see how close I can get. So there's 90 degrees. Nope, still not letting me cast it. There, it looks like I have to be a little bit less, and it didn't even hit. It cast, but it didn't hit. So we'll look right at it just to reset it, and then we'll turn away. Nope, I cannot cast it on it. There it is right there. And the damage is okay. It looks similar to the acid damage or the electric damage. The Scorch, the fire one, is definitely the most damage that we've seen. But, you know, if you were doing a a class that you were doing cold damage and you needed to force them to take it, it's not bad to have something like this. Because while I don't think the hitbox is as good as the storm one, it still allows you to target the mob while you're moving. Now, can they move out of the hitbox is the other question. So I'm going to cast it while these things are running. It looks like it kind of follows the mob, because this wolf got hit too, and this wolf was kind of really far out of it. So, but we'll see how far away I have to be. So I'll target that champ there. So I cannot hit it yet. I cannot hit it yet. So you have to, this also, you have to get into normal spell range in order to do it. And it did 700 damage to him. I got the iron pot on my head. That is a blindness effect you cannot mitigate. I have blindness immunity on. It doesn't matter. We're going to basically do like a close up and personal nuke here with this. So I'm going to jump cast it. And we were able to kill all the spiders, but the damage is not high enough to kill this elite. He has 1600 points. We've hit him with 2 spells so far. He's still got a third of his health. There it is again. He's not dead. He just phased out. He did like a blink. And so 3 spell casts and we did not kill him. So, I mean, and that, keep in mind, that is empowered, heightened, maximized, and quickened. And now he's at full health. We'll do it again. So 720. Oh, I got my cuddle puddle. I'm going to stay in it. That's great. That did 800, and we actually froze him in ice. So if that is an effect that we can reliably count on from this winter hail, because I do not have... let me just make sure. Oh, actually, I'm wearing a crown of snow. So, no, I was wrong. Probably my crown of snow proc that got him, and not the actual hail effects from this. So it doesn't say that it locks it in ice. It basically says you create a hailstorm, it does this damage, it makes things vulnerable to cold damage, and it works on your evocation DC, the highest of intelligence, charisma, or wisdom. So that damage was good. So right now I'm like, okay, probably the storm is the best just because the hitbox is so amazing. Probably my least favorite was the acid, just because they reused the hitbox from color spray. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but when you compare that, it's like comparing, you know, like this leap versus the monk leap. Like, yeah, this leap is good, but you only have 3 charges, whereas a monk, they can do it 5 times and then they start regenerating. Oh, so I don't know if you just saw what just happened. I got a really bad wild surge that petrified me. It didn't last that long. So I think it only lasted for 1 second. But still, like, again, I was saying, I don't think people are going to want these Chaosmancers coming into their raids. Because if somebody gave you a job to do, and all of a sudden you got petrified, and then blinded with an iron pot on your head, and then cursed, like, there's a couple raids, right? Isn't the Strahd raid where you have to deal with, like, a bunch of curses? Like, now I'm cursed. Like, how would I know whether I've got this curse or Strahd's curse? Like, you know, and you have to make sure that you have, what, 400 curse potions on you at all times just to be a Chaosmancer? Like, it just doesn't seem like they're rare enough, is what I mean. So, to get back to the hitbox conversation, we cannot be looking away from them, so that takes this down a notch. And also what I'm noticing is that the hitbox itself is just so wonky. Like, I've cast the spell a couple times and I have not seen it. So I just don't understand. Like, I think there's something wrong with this hitbox, actually. It's probably something that I'm doing. There it is. But so far, Spring is the best. Not the best damage, but definitely the best in the way. See, there it is right there. You just saw it. I cast it and nothing happened. So this one has like the worst, I think, of the hitboxes. When it hits, it's good, but it's just too easy to screw it up. So all in all, I think that probably I would do Spring or the Fire one, unless I were on a build that really needed to have a break. You know, like the Cold Warlock, the Carcery Storm. You're also doing radiant damage. You're doing either evil light damage. So it's not like you really need to force things to take your cold. Of course it helps to have things take all your damage, but it's not like you won't be able to do any damage. The only one that I could see maybe would need something like this would be the negative energy one, but there isn't a negative energy season. So I think that they, missed the whole concept of like having the undead warlock. That's a whole other conversation that we could talk about. I just don't think they implemented the undead warlock in a way that actually makes it fun to play. I think that it's actually like a god-awful design. And one of the main reasons is that you get into this undead shroud, but you have no reliable way to heal yourself. Like you have to rely on other. There's no built-in like good heal like there is on a lich, say, on a wizard, where you can take a bunch of different things to heal yourself. You just don't have access to those on the warlock. So, and if you do Reaper, anything over R1, you're taking a lot of damage. You need to have a good way to reliably heal yourself. So, yeah, I don't like how sometimes this doesn't really do enough damage to kill a mob that has 348 hit points. Like this ogre has 348 hit points, and we did not do enough damage to kill it, whereas my color spray, which costs 4 spell points, just did 1500 damage. So I would skip the winter one. I would do the spring, which unironically is the one that does charisma. Even though it's doing electric sonic, most people are probably going to take it for the +2 charisma. And getting another SLA that does some electric damage, yeah, okay, great. As long as you don't cast that on any flesh golems, you'll be fine. Or this one, like I certainly think making a Chaosmancer Fiend Warlock using this Scorching Summer, even though it does strength as a bonus, I mean, that's irrelevant. You could also do the electric, whatever that one is, the Celestial Warlock, and take advantage of this. I think that probably would be a good mix too. Because a lot of things in the end game stop taking electrical damage, so being able to force them to, that would actually be pretty good for that warlock. It's one of the warlocks I haven't played that much, but they are pretty solid. I mean, that was all right. When it works, it's okay. We'll put that up against this. This costs 4 spell points. And that did no damage. Oh, actually, it did some sort of delayed damage. So I don't know, maybe I have server lag. That's another thing that it's hard to test for. Like if I got any lag at all, So I don't know what that hammer means. Hopefully people are like cataloging all the different things. Oh, I got a chest. We'll take it. No, it's not vodka. It's actually tea. I think if I were drinking, I'd have to flag it on Twitch, right? Although I don't think people do, but I think they want you to. Just gonna sell everything. All right, so we're gonna respec. So because I don't really care, I don't really care about the SLA itself. Likely. I'm just gonna do the spring one to get my charisma up. Yeah, I'll use it still. And that's the one with the really good hitbox. But all we care about is this extra +1 charisma, and my quicken uses less spell points, right? The SLA only costs 5 points, so if I can cast electricity on something, I will. That's fine. So let me get back into spring. So there we go. So now my charisma should be 53. It is. That's good. And then the so now I have this really cool SLA that does this, that I don't even have to be facing the mob. If it takes electric damage, I can do. And my electric isn't very high. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's like 500 to 1,000, but it's still something that I can throw for 5 spell points. So that's really good. I think I gotta... So I'm going to save this action point for this. And I think the other 2 action points I get will probably either go into these here to get more charges on this dumb thing. I still think it's super dumb that you have to buy chargers for this, but I won't. I'll make myself crazy, and I'll probably make you guys crazy if I talk about things that I think are dumb, because I would never design it like that, but I'm a player. What do I know?
Where are you going? Hunting for gold that is flowing. Somewhere in the cold world hid, there's no knowing. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. There's a standing stone, let's make camp. We love games. Let's make camp and play more games. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. Where are you going? There's no knowing what magic awaits, what evil is growing. Hey, hey la, oh la la la. We love games. Where are you going? There's no knowing what magic awaits, what evil is growing. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. We love games. Hunting old crypts is folly. Just play games and be jolly. Magical treasures hide in the dark, so rest and embark. We love games. There's a standing stone, let's make camp. We love games. Let's make camp and play more games. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. We love games. There's a standing stone, let's make camp. We love games. Let's make camp and play more games. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games. Hey la, Mary la, oh la 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 la. Where are you going? There's no knowing what magic awaits, what evil is growing. Hey la, oh la la la. We love games.